Hi, my name's Haley Hill, and this is my Module 12 assignment for tort liability. I am just going into my second year of teaching, so I was not as familiar with tort liability or tort law or anything that had to do with liability before this assignment. So I learned that it concerns civil wrongs and addresses the duty, breach, and injury sustained to one individual as a result of another's contact. There's two different types. There's intentional torts and there's negligent torts, and then there are subcategories beneath each of them. It is based on the legal premise that individuals are liable for the consequences of their own conduct or lack of conduct when such actions result in injury to others. The first case that I found was Johnson Johnson versus School District of Millard. This was in 1998, and it was a first grade student that was in a music class, and they were learning the song London Bridge along with a game or kind of a dance that goes with it. So in this game, there are two students and they kind of join hands, and then a student's in the middle and they are rocked back and forth. And this student repeatedly said that he was swung fast and hard and had asked the students to stop and had also asked for help. Eventually he was thrown and hit his head on a bookcase and required 50 stitches above his eye. The court ruled in favor of the student and it awarded money for medical expenses, money for permanent disfigurement, and money to the family for pain and suffering. If this had happened in my school, reactive measures I think would have probably been to place that teacher on leave to do further investigation to see what happened in her classroom and how they could fix it for next time. Proactive measures that I would have taken would be to have watched these students a little more carefully. In the case, it said that she'd turned her back to write something on the chalkboard, but this was their first time learning it and they really needed to be observed a little bit further just to make sure that they understood the game and they weren't taking it too far, which it kind of seems like they did. My second case is In versus Anchorage School District. This was kind of a sad case, but it was a kindergartner who hugged his teacher goodbye outside and then was walking or running to mom, who was also outside, and he tripped and fell on a clump of pine shrubs, and a stick penetrated his eye and jabbed his frontal lobe of his brain, and he suffered a lot of different complications. He gained a lot of weight. He had narcolepsy, a lot of different things that resulted because of this injury. The school was found liable and they were awarded $4.5 million to the student, $180,000 to the family for pain and suffering. This verdict took 5 years. If this happened in my school, I don't really know if the teacher can be punished because the kids, they were outside and it was as simple as saying goodbye to the student and watching them walk to the parent, but something happened in between. I don't think too many reactive measures would be taken other than to make sure that outside is safe for students at all times. The third case I have is Brewington versus the City of Philadelphia. This was in 2012. A student ran into a non-padded concrete wall in gym class when he was racing someone. The high court ruled that the school was liable and the student sustained a concussion from the injury, so the mother had sued for negligence. It was a win for Brewington. If this happened in my school, which I do think it's possible because not every wall in our gym is covered with pads, I think that a reactive measure would be to put those pads up and not have any surface in the gym where kids are running around and potentially being reckless open for somebody's head to hit it or a body part to smack against it. So proactive measures would be to cover all of those walls, just in the gym, just to be safe. My fourth case is Hoyam versus Manhattan City Beach School District. This was quite a while ago, but it was in summer school, and I sub in summer school, so this one was pretty relevant to me. A student left the building in the middle of summer school and just walked out and left, and he was struck in the middle of an intersection by a motorcycle. He suffered a lot of injuries and went to the hospital. The case ended up being dismissed by the court, and that's kind of all they said about that. So if this happened at my school, Well, I don't think that it would, because if we have a student run, we employ all measures, like we call the police and make sure that student is brought right back to us. But this could happen in the meantime. The kid could be running, runs into the street intersection, and gets hit. Reactive measures would be to analyze the situation. How did the student leave the school? What doors were unlocked? Was there a gate open? Just to figure out how this happened and how we can not let it happen again. And proactive measures would be to analyze that and make sure that if there's a gate on the playground, that it is locked so students cannot leave the premises. And making sure that doors are not available for students to leave in and out as they please as well. The last one is Barnett versus Caldwell. This teacher left her class unattended. She needed to use the restroom, so she told her neighboring teacher to listen for her class. Two students were messing around while she was gone. A student fell, and one suffered injuries and later died as a result at the hospital. At first, when questioned, the teacher claimed that she was in the room the entire time, and then she opened up that she was actually in the restroom. So the charge was dismissed because there was no intent to harm in this instance. She just had to use the restroom. Teachers have to use the restroom at some point, and she was still doing her job, but injuries resulted from it. But there was no intent to harm, so the teacher was dismissed of all charges. If this happened in my school, I don't think that charges would have necessarily been dismissed, because we are not allowed to leave our students unattended excuse me, at any time. And we would definitely be held liable if we did leave them unattended. Proactive measures to prevent this would be to make sure that a teacher is watching your class. If you need to use the restroom, maybe call the office, see if they have somebody off that they could send to watch your class. Be proactive about using the restroom on your breaks, things like that, so that way you are not held liable because you left your class unattended. And that is all 5 of my cases. Here are my resources. A set of professional ethics that would be beneficial with regards to tort liability is just to make sure that you're covering your bases. Make sure that there's always 2 people with you. If you're disciplining a student, make sure that you don't ever leave your students unattended. Make sure that if you see something, you say something. If something isn't working on the playground and it could hurt a student, report it. If you see that a door is open that shouldn't be, make sure you call the office and tell them that kind of thing, so that way you avoid tort liability cases against you. That is my presentation. Thank you.